The self-doubt beast is not your enemy. It's actually your test, your alarm clock, your signal that you are standing at the edge of the next level. The question is, will you rise or will you stay stuck? Welcome to The Beast Within. I'm your host, Aaron Saltzman. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, or share this podcast with somebody that you love who you feel might be going through one of these inner beasts themselves. Look, if you're listening to this podcast right now, there's a good chance you've battled what this podcast is going to be about. We're going to deep dive into the self-doubt beast. You know exactly which beast I'm talking about. The voice in your head that whispers, you're not ready, you're not good enough. What if you fail? The voice that keeps you playing small, hesitating and hindering your ability to make moves forward. But here's the truth. The self-doubt beast is not your enemy. It's actually your test, your alarm clock, your signal that you are standing at the edge of the next level. The question is, will you rise or will you stay stuck? That's exactly why today's episode is so important. Today's guest is living proof that breaking free from self-doubt can transform your life. We used to work together as personal trainers, grinding to sell someone else's dream, pushing their supplements, their brand, and their training. But Ryan Tullis refused to stay trapped in that cycle. Since launching his own business, The Boring Fitness Coach, in 2021, he's built an online coaching service company that has now generated up to $450,000 in annual sales. He's helped clients lose a staggering 36,000 pounds, three of which have lost over 100 pounds each. And he's traveled to over 14 countries while running his business remote. He started his own podcast, the MFT, which I've had a pleasure being a host on, where he helps new coaches establish tools necessary to grow within the fitness industry. But this wasn't always the reality for Ryan. You see, the self-doubt beast had him stuck, questioning himself, hesitating, and holding him back. So today he's here to share not only how he conquered it, but how you can too. So let's dive in. I want to welcome my good friend, Ryan Tullis. It's really good to have you on, man. And, I'm really excited for you to share your story on how the self-doubt beast took a toll on your life.
Taking a mighty bit of a leap of faith on that whole friend thing, aren't we?
So the crazy thing is we've been in this through the trenches, right? Like we started off together at Lifetime, and I recall the first time I actually met Ryan, we were selling supplements downstairs, just pulling people away and trying to sell this brand of Lifetime. And why you need to buy their supplements that are probably double the cost of something else out there that you can find on the market. But yeah, man, tell us a little bit more about your story. I mean, obviously you've made it a long way since then. But, what obstacles or stepping stones did you have to go through in order to get where you're at?
I would say almost the entirety of it was just getting out of my own goddamn way. I mean, I hope we can curse on this podcast.
Oh, yeah.
Because we're going to have a rough time together if I can't.
It's welcome. This podcast is about being real and opening up the real. So absolutely, we can,
Fantastic. Like 70% of my vocabulary is just expletives. But for most of it, for me, it was just getting out of my own way, dude. Like, I've always been my own worst enemy, as most people generally tend to be. So for me, proving that I could do something was just really proving that I could get out of my own way, that I could not self-destruct, that I could not chase immediate gratification to feel good. I mean, the little fun part about me, I do suffer from clinical depression and clinical anxiety and a couple other fun diagnoses. It's more or less code for I will ruin myself if I get the opportunity. I will go chase something to feel good, to make the 50 voices in the back of my head go away. And like that was my big thing, was just I was terrified that I was going to do what I always do, which is kneecap myself for shits and giggles and to feel good for an afternoon.
Wow. Yeah, that's honestly so strong. I can 100% relate to that. Depression is something that I think all of us end up battling at some point in our lives, but it's almost like a give or take. Like it's like you can either take on depression and sit and sulk in it, or for me, it's kind of like you. There's a wall behind you, and it's the only other option is through the depression. And how do you do that? It's the growth mindset.
Absolutely.
I think what you said is spot on. I absolutely love that. It became almost a choice for you. It was like, okay, I can either choose to sit in this and press that self-destruct button and watch my life crumble, or I could do something about it. And so I think that, that right there is exactly why you're on this podcast, is because there's so many millions of people who feel the same way, but don't know how to make that next step. They don't know how to find their growth moment, or maybe they don't have the tools necessary, which is why we're here today. And I'm looking forward to hearing from you on some of the tools that you've gone through yourself.
Oh, absolutely. My self-development or personal growth journey, I guess, probably started more like at 17. And there wasn't, I need to get somewhere. It was just, I saw where my path was going. Like I knew at 17 so clearly, if I kept doing what I was doing, living my life the way I was through fear and squalor, I would just, I mean, for lack of a better way of putting it, I'd probably end up walking off a cliff. And like, I'm joking a little bit, but like also there was a very like big fear back then. Was like, oh, that is on the table. All right, we got to make some moves here.
Yeah.
Let's need to get that possibility down to zero real quick.
Yeah, I'd love to deep dive on that. Exactly. Share a little bit more on that experience of at 17, what thoughts were going through your head that possibly were the ones that were, making you drive your head into a wall and, potentially walking off that future cliff.
A lot of it was just self-loathing. I hated the way I looked, hated the way I felt, hated the way I talked. Hated how I saw the world and other people didn't seem to see it the same way I did. That tism that we joke about. It's that way that only you view the world that really isn't all that unique, but feels super unique when you're in it.
Absolutely.
So for me, it was all of that and just seeing how that was constantly leading me to self-implode and destroy myself and like push friends away, because I didn't feel it represented something for me, or relationships that I just burned to the ground, or, I just wouldn't be the best version of myself in. And of course, they fucking leave my ass because, who wants to anchor themselves to a drowning ship or a plane that's going down, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So that was a lot of what was going on back then. Was just hated myself, and I was just constantly ostracizing myself with people around me because I was just so stuck in my own feedback loop.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
Absolutely. And it's what's great is, and in a sense, it's a powerful tool, knowing that somebody like you, who many people look up to and see as almost like, as a leader, as somebody they want to follow their life, like it's crazy to look back and see where you started. And this brings me right into a quote that I want to dive into about the self-doubt. So the quote goes like this: "Self-doubt is not the enemy. The spark that pushes the inner beast to rise stronger. It's the sign that you're on the verge of growth, testing your limits, and transforming something into something greater. The choice is yours to rise or remain through this beast." And with this, I want people to understand that Ryan's awareness to this beast was exactly when he started to plan his growth out of it. And so, Ryan, based off of that quote that I just read, how do you feel? Obviously, you went through all these things, but how do you feel that actually benefited having those emotions, having those fears, having those doubts? How did that actually benefit you into becoming the person you are today?
Well, I mean, I appreciate you making it seem like I had a plan. That's thank you for that. It was literally, my God, no one's come to save me yet. Shit. If not me, then who?
So
let's get making moves.
So like a sink or swim.
Yeah, it was like, all right, I've tried asking for help. That didn't really pan out so hot. I've tried waiting for someone to come help me. And I did a period of time where I was hoping I would gain superpowers and be able to lift large weights and jump tall buildings and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Also didn't work out.
And
a little bummed about that
this
one.
actually hits at home because Ryan's business is based off of the boring lifestyle that leads to success, right? It is things that are not sexy. It's doing what is necessary to do to get yourself out of such things like the self-beast, right? The self-doubt beast. So I want to give 4 self-doubt beast effects on how they affect us, how they possibly affected you, and maybe ways that you have gone to grow out of them. The first one that I have in mind is paralysis by analysis. So paralysis by analysis, that for those who don't know, is overthinking every decision to the point where you take 0 action. You are analyzing yourself into complete stuck. Right. So tell me a little bit about how maybe this paralysis by analysis has affected you, and maybe any routes that you have, like So Odd, of keeping it a boring lifestyle, How are these tools helped you into achieving missing the paralysis by analysis?
A lot of it for me was I was a master of plans. I would create long plans. I still do to this day, and I've thankfully been able to channel that into some success and put a lot of like guardrails up to make sure that I'm not just spinning my wheels creating, the master stroke that's going to take 50 years and like I'm going to lose attention for in like a month. For me, it was the planning. I would plan things to oblivion, and how I've overcome that was no plan matters without action. And every plan starts with action.
Love it.
So beginning everything I was trying to conquer, everything I was trying to do was first I'd take a look at the field, and then first thing was just start, begin. You don't need a plan yet. You don't need to get your next 50 steps sorted. You'll need to, but just start.
Man.
And that initiation through action, I found was very, very useful in kind of channeling that hyper planning that was like so much of my default state. And I imagine it would be the same thing through analysis through paralysis, or paralysis through analysis. Would be just start, begin, like make a move.
That's beautiful. It's really about those small wins and learning to accept and celebrate those small wins, because yes, I mean, in order to see success, you do have to take full action, and a plan just isn't enough. You have to figure out how to move past that and how to put action to that plan, as if like what Ryan was saying. When it comes to the paralysis by analysis, now this comes into effect in all aspects of life. I mean, Ryan's itself, his big one was business, right? He planned so deep ahead that he froze himself, and he got to a point where he was not taking action. He was just planning and then probably getting down on himself that the plan wasn't coming to fruition. And so this breaks up into all aspects of life, not just business. This is the same as in the gym. Ryan and myself are both fitness coaches, and we see this all the time. People want to bite off way more than they can chew. They want to look only at the end goal. And Ryan, what are your thoughts on that? What have you seen in the gym when people are staring only at the end goal?
Their execution of the tasks that equal the goal go to shit because they're really just focusing on the goal. So it's what habits lead to weight loss. And I'm always going to take it back to weight loss. That's my world. What habits lead to weight loss? Is it the want, the yearning, the desperation, I'm setting this goal and I have the master plan? Or is it the daily habits and tasks that you do? Plot twist to anybody at home, it's the daily ones.
That's it. It's
yeah,
those,
sorry.
It is the habits. I mean, you can plan all you want. It's the daily habits that lead to the compound effect of success. And that goes for everything. Just like Ryan's business model is made after, it's the boring stuff. And those boring things are the habits, the daily things that you do that will accumulate to design who you ultimately become. Now, this leads me right into the next one. I know this is something that I have faced with my own self-doubt, and that's imposter syndrome. So, imposter syndrome is feeling like fraud despite all evidence that is pointed to your hard work and success. Now, is this something that you have faced? And what are some tools maybe necessary that you have come up with to, make this voice a little quieter?
I've always kind of operated from a sense of I could do anything, which kind of, it sounds a little like ridiculous to kind of say, but I've always kind of walked into things kind of biting off more than I could chew. I mean, working with you at Lifetime, that was walking in and going, oh my God, there are all these people that I think are so great. Why should they listen to me? And there was that self-doubt that kind of came from more insecurity. But as far as that, I've always been a firm believer you will rise to the occasion if you actively work at it. If you just walk into it going, I suck and I'm this piece of shit, and oh my God, I can't possibly do this. Yeah, that's going to remain true. But if you walk in with some air of confidence, not being fake, not being someone that's going to pretend to be some expert that you're not, but just someone that walks in going, I might not have the solution, but my God, I am the guy that can find it. I found that always got me through it eventually, just so long as I then followed that intention with, the whole like work and effort thing to become that person that would find the solution.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely. And that's it right there. I think you nailed it. I think confidence is the big thing. Listen, nobody, and I'm talking nobody, starts with all the confidence in the world. Confidence is earned through those daily habits. Confidence is earned through affirmations. What are you telling yourself, right? Ryan had to tell himself that I am capable of this, that I am capable of moving into my design goal, and that I am going to walk out of this a better person to be able to help other people build that confidence that he struggled with himself. And so that dives right into the next of fear of failure. What if you don't succeed? You know, the self-doubt beast speaks very loudly on the costs of not succeeding. And it speaks so loudly that it almost, again, goes back to that paralysis by analysis by causing you not to move at all. So what did fear of failure look like for you? And how did you get out of lifetime even holding on to that fear itself?
I mean, fear has always kind of looked like for me shame. I was so desperate to build this version, this character archetype up. So for me, like financial failure, whatever. I could be poor for a little while. It's not really that big of a deal. I could be unemployed. I could go work something that's not even fitness for a little while. And again, I'll be all right. But for me, it would be that breaking of that character that I, again, at 17 was so desperate to not be that person. Because, again, I saw the potential end of that road and was, oh my God, I can't have that be a thing. So everything for me from failure was never about financial, was never about, oh, my work life is going to suck, or shit, I got to go spend that season as a bartender.
Absolutely.
You know, it's like, all right, that just might be a thing. But me losing that image of myself of someone who could solve problems, that was terrifying to me. Because, well, I could deal with other people not liking me, which I could not say that when I was younger. Now I couldn't give less of a fuck. Mm-hmm. But I can't, and still to this day, I do not do well with any type of me looking back in and not liking the image I see. I implode very, very, very quickly. So that was my fear. As far as how I got over that, well, are things going to get better if you keep doing what you're doing now? Mm-hmm. That was the one question, was where do you see your future staying here?
Oh, wow.
Where do you see it if you leave? What's the worst case scenario other than potential failure and shame and all that? I go work back at Lifetime. Mm-hmm. All right. Something tells me they would hire me back in a fucking heartbeat, so I'm okay. Mm-hmm. I can make this move. I can be measured in that decision to move forward and to jump. Because, all right, I really only have to worry about being someone that gets self-doubt in myself. Well, so long as I'm moving forward, how much money I make, where I work, if I'm even still working in fitness, that doesn't really matter that much. Mm-hmm. I just need to be good with me. So understanding what really mattered to me was what helped me kind of take that leap of faith, if that answers your question.
Absolutely. I think that's great. And he said it very wisely that when it comes to self-doubt, I can either stay put and remain here, or I can try and I can take a step forward. And it might send me whirlwinding back, but guess what? I'm right where I was already. So I get to try again. And I get to try again and again and again. And so for me, it goes all the way back to the biggest saying when it comes to fear. Fear is false evidence appearing real. And I think that is exactly what this beast is. What this beast does is it tries to look very intimidating. It tries to grow out of control to, again, put you in a state of freeze and fear what the outcome may be. But I look at fear almost like a shadow that can follow me as I make the steps. Or if you shine so much light on that fear, it poses as such a bigger threat. And, you know, that shadow becomes so much bigger. And now all of a sudden you start to follow the shadow. And so for me, fear is exactly that. Ryan took the necessary steps in order to realize that, hey, even if I'm fearful of this, what's the worst thing that can happen? I'm stuck where I'm already at. And the last one that I have for you guys is seeking external validation. So Ryan just mentioned that back in the day, he cared very much so what other people think. But oh my God. At this point...
That was my...
And it's what literally kept him with self-doubt. And at this point now, he's at the point where I don't give a shit. Like, I care about what I think of me. And so piggybacking off of what you said, have you ever walked away from an opportunity because you didn't think other people were going to validate it? You were afraid what other people were going to think?
Yes. And what was it? This would have been back, I'd been maybe like 22, 23 at the time. Mm-hmm. I was literally going to go, I was working as a travel trainer for a little while, where I would literally go travel around the country with people training them. And it was decent money, but I couldn't tell like what I was doing. I couldn't show it. I couldn't market with them. I was essentially trapped. And I ended up actually stepping out of the opportunity to kind of be in that circuit of working with these kind of more, say, executive type people. Mm-hmm. And I did so because I couldn't brag to people about it. I made all the excuses in the world that I can't market. I couldn't build my business. I was making great money. Didn't need to make more. I just couldn't tell people about like what it was I was doing and why this was so cool, and I couldn't build this image. It was just, oh, you're a trainer. Okay. And it just kind of not being able to justify myself and almost feeling a little ashamed that I was just a trainer kind of got to me pretty heavily. And I ended up stepping out of an opportunity that had I stuck with, I would have kept rubbing shoulders with some of the more successful people in this world and probably would have stumbled myself into opportunity after opportunity. But I was too ego and self-driven, and I needed everyone to know that I was successful. Not being successful, I needed people to know I was successful.
Absolutely.
That mattered. And now I'm on the other side, I'm like, fuck, y'all can think I'm poor. I don't give a shit.
And now look where that's propelled you, though, right? It's like, for me, it's like it's finally breaking through what you just designed as ego, right? Ego is that self-doubt of, I need everybody else to see my success. I need everybody else to think I'm successful before I'm going to actually believe I'm successful. But what I've realized in this state of growth is once you can put that ego aside and not give a fuck what other people are assuming of you or needing to believe of you, you actually really start to make these stepping stones. And so at this point, we reach what we can only call a breaking point, the moment we realize we can't keep letting the self-doubt control us. And so what finally pushed you to say enough is enough? What finally pushed you to say that, I'm ready to take full action and actually have confidence in myself?
Are you talking about in terms of business, self-development? Like what angle were you taking?
Yeah, let's go into business. So let's talk about, you were just a trainer, right? And so when was enough of, what? Being just a trainer is good enough for me because of the thousands of people I get to help. And I'm not just a trainer because I have so much more design behind the fact that I want to be so much more. So what was that enough is enough? When did you start to believe in yourself?
I mean, a lot of it, I reframed how I was looking at being a personal trainer. Now I'm more or less not even really a personal trainer anymore. I mean, at the end of the day, it's not even really what I do. But I'm always going to be a personal trainer. That is my identity as a human being, is that I am a personal trainer. And I'll be a billionaire one day that hasn't talked to someone about fitness in 20 years. Oh, what do you do? I'm a personal trainer. Yeah. That'll always be the answer. Because I reframed my mindset around it was, no, this is this amazing place that you get to be in, this place that gets to help a lot of people, and you get to rub shoulders with all these amazing people, not like what I was talking about before with the wealthy and the trainers, people that are in the gym, that are so passion-driven, that love what they do and just want to help people. Almost every one of them generally tends to think, no, I chose this for passion, not for money. And it's just such a rare place to find people. So overcoming how I was defining myself and the profession that ultimately I was and still am, that helped tremendously. I think that answers your question.
Yeah,
maybe?
Absolutely. And so to piggyback, I say, when you're in the mix of it all, pressure makes diamonds, but when you're in it, it just feels like pressure. Meaning, when you're in it, you just feel this heavy weight on your shoulders. You just feel like I'm never going to adapt. I'm never going to change. I'm never going to grow until all of a sudden there is a diamond designed, and that's where you're at today, right? And so what I want to do now is I just want to spitfire a quick couple of questions for you and have you, throw out your best answer that's going to help these people take action today, right? We know that it is a big journey to get there, but what habits or what adaptations can they make to attack the self-doubt beast today? So
more caffeine. The answer is always more caffeine. If you work in fitness, it's even more caffeine that is the answer. But for everybody else, it's just caffeine.
I'm sitting right here with my cup of coffee. Caffeine has 100% propelled me into being a better entrepreneur.
Personal trainers like caffeine. It's a thing. It's an addiction.
It's a fact. Now, so the first question I have for you is, in my belief, nobody does this alone. So what has helped you overcome the self-doubt? And this could be something as far as, did you have a mentor? Did you have a book that shifted your mind? Did you pick up one single daily habit that you can recall that helped you on this journey to defeating the self-doubt beast?
So I've never really had mentors. I did very briefly when I started working in training. I was just fortunate to work out at a gym with some of the best natural bodybuilding coaches in the world. Thank you, dogs. Such joy has been injected into my life right now.
I knew it was coming, bro. It was a matter of when. I'm like, God damn it. All right.
So yeah, no, I didn't really have mentors. Really, I just, again, was very fortunate to luck into a gym that just happened to have these amazing people that kind of inspired this this love of research-based principles, which, you know, is, I mean, my God, what are the fucking odds? I really chose a gym that was like far from my house too, was really out of the way. These guys weren't even living over in the area. It was just so random.
And I think you actually just gave the answer I was looking for you. As you know, I've obviously known you for the last, you know, almost 10 years, and it's been that long. It's crazy.
My God. It's been a minute, Aaron.
So you just answered it for me, and what I think the viewers can take away is the one piece that helped you overcome this self-doubt beast is your environment. You put yourself in an environment with other people who are just like you, who want to succeed. So for me, I grew up in Manteca, California, and I was around a lot of people who were complacent. They didn't really care to get better. They wanted to party. They wanted, right? So by putting yourself in that environment of other winners, I think has helped you substantially sharpen your tools to becoming a better, overcoming that self-doubt beast.
I agree with that to some extent, but I mean, like what? That's so chance. That's flipping a coin. It hits 4 or 5 things and then lands like straight up. It's like, well, all right, people can do that, but I don't know if that's like the strategy I'm going to say is get yourself in an environment. I'm like, oh man, that was for like 6 months when I was 18. I mean, I got to say in business and in overcoming personal development, not to make it sound like I did it all myself, but I was too terrified for most of my 20s to legitimately go to somebody and be like, hey, I don't have a pot to piss in. I don't know what to do. I'm spiraling and like life is not looking great. Like, well, the thought of doing that was that's beyond 20-year-old Ryan's
capabilities,
courage.
Yeah. And so now,
yeah, I think inspiration can do a lot of it. Is if you have something that inspires you to want more than what you currently have. That was my big driver.
Okay.
It was just.
And now, was that a person for you? Was that a destination? What was destination? And what is that destination for you? Dude,
it was literally a destination. It was traveling. Like that was. COVID hit. I had more or less, I don't want to say became my final version, but I got close enough to it. By like 2018, 2017, I'd kind of grown up and, got my ass kicked a few times and learned a few things, literally and figuratively. And when 2020 hit, I realized that even though I was good with me, I wasn't living the life I really wanted to live. I worked. That was all I did. There was no end point. It was for nothing. It was just, I want to work for success's sake. Finding out that, or remembering, I guess probably a better way to put it, that travel was something I had such a passion for, really kind of sparked me to go, well, how do I frame my life to make this travel thing a thing now? Because there's no world where I'm not traveling multiple months of the year where I'm going to be okay. I don't need to make a lot of money. People don't need to like me. I don't need to have a lot of followers. But there has to be a way that I'm living life that allows me to go live it with freedom. And to go travel and see the things that I need to do.
Yeah, that's money. Everything you just said is, I think, so to the answer to the question is the destination for Ryan. It was, how do I channel my life into getting myself to be able to do the things. So giving himself a why, a purpose. I want to go travel. So now let me work backwards. Let me find what I want in life. Now, how do I get that? And so now with that, my next question is, if you were to sit down with your younger self, just keep it very brief. What's one thing that you would tell yourself to try and shut down this self-doubt?
To be entirely honest with you, there's no piece of advice I could have given 17-year-old Ryan that probably would have stuck very well. As kind of low-key cop-out, but also like kind of sad as that is to say. I don't think there's a whole lot of advice I could have given that kid other than just focus on right here, right now. Don't worry about next week. That probably, which is like the exact opposite advice you would give a young man today, right?
But I
like
think
you want to tell a man, like, think long.
But I think it fits your business model perfect. And I think that it's exactly your business model is focus on today. Do what you have to do today. Tomorrow will come and we can focus on tomorrow, but do the boring stuff today. So I think it's actually, you've taken that mindset from 17 and it's driven you to be the ultimate success that you are today. Now, let's backtrack and say you never confronted the beast and you didn't do those daily habits. Where do you think you'd be today?
Well, Aaron, we covered that earlier. It's not a very nice place. A long walk off a short pier.
There you go.
To be entirely honest, I would probably be an alcoholic and would probably have slipped back into narcotic use. That would have been 100% probably my outcome in life. Or again, I probably just would have taken that long walk.
Now,
it's sad, but like that's.
But this is
to be honest, if I didn't, that's where I was headed.
And that's what I want to get across to these listeners is, hopefully what Ryan is saying is not driving more fear, right? This should be driving a complete reason to take action. Is if somebody that's been through it is saying, this is where I would have ended up, then, it is time to make big changes in your life and follow suit, because that is true. That is where people start to dive into addiction, and people start to, dive into a complacent life and have full regret as they get older. So to end today, I really want to, again, give listeners tools necessary in order to move forward. So the first one I want to go over is rewriting the inner script. And that is rewriting your mindset. Instead of, I'm not ready, I'm not good enough, replacing it with, I'm ready to stand up to it today and I'm ready to do what it takes. How can they shift that mindset?
Sorry, I thought you had longer. My bad.
How do you bring in positive self-talk? And how do you step into the realm of affirmation?
If not you, then who? No one's going to do it for you. No one's going to save you. There's no magic thing. And to kind of laugh at myself a little bit, you're not suddenly going to get superpowers one day.
Man.
That's not how life works. And I think ultimately, if you can't speak well of yourself, again, who will?
Wow.
No one wants to be around the person that's apologetic for them being them. No one wants to be around someone that just talks crap about themselves, even satirically. And these aren't positive human traits to be around, and that leads to isolation. And again, now you're isolated in your same bullshit that you were before.
Wow. Man, I just want to let you guys know that none of what Ryan just said was scripted. That all came straight from the heart. Man, that was to a T better than I could have come up with anything on that answer. So the next is taking imperfect action. Learn to not be ready or wait until you're ready, and learn to do things that maybe is not you're not 100% prepared for. Ryan, can you give or share a time when you've moved forward despite feeling unready? When you told yourself, that, I don't know if I can do this, but you did it anyways.
Every single time that I've ever done anything in my entire life, and I guarantee you I'm going to do a couple of those today, then I'm like, fuck, I hope this works.
And now, isn't it once you've tried it, isn't it always to the point of like, wow, like I'm glad I did that, or it turned out so much better than I thought it ever could?
I've always found that everything follows the same kind of arc. It always starts with being very annoying and hard and challenging, and you only know what you don't know. And like that's a list a mile long, and that can beat people down. I really do feel that if you go and work at things, it'll always follow some degree of frustration, learning, and then it gets easier. The effort curve goes down, and then mastery happens, and then the effort curve go way down. And I just think everything follows that. And but what I found is accepting that things are going to follow this path. That when I start something, I'm going to want to put my hand through this goddamn computer. And then 1 month out, all right. I don't like doing it, but I can keep doing it. 2 months out, oh my God, this is great.
It's a beautiful thing. It's like a game, but every time you get to the next level, the game gets harder, right? And you have to, you have the tools necessary, but now you have to channel and get ready for that next, ultimate boss. You're about to go face Bowser, and guess what? When you beat Bowser, there's another one waiting for you at the next level. So,
dude, you're always leveling up. That's so true.
Yes. And I think that's a beautiful thing. The last one I'm going to go into is what I kind of mentioned earlier is you are the energy that you surround yourself with. And so I ask of you, I've done this in my life, and it helps push me substantially by surrounding myself with people like Ryan and people like the MFT podcast that we do. These people drive me to be better. And so that is the next tool I'm going to leave you with on how to defeat this self-doubt beast is change your environment and change the people that you surround yourself with to people that has the energy and has the level up that you're looking for. There's a saying that if you're the smartest one or the hardest one or working person in the room, you're not in a room, you're in a cage. And what this is basically saying is that if you are the highest potential in the room, then that's it. That's the highest potential. There's no further. And so surrounding yourself with good people and people who have the same aspirations as you. And Ryan, I'll let you leave a note on that one if you'd like.
Well, if you Parrot Aaron there. Never be the hardest one in the room. Good advice to live by.
Always find people that are going to help level you up.
Yeah, I think having positive people around you that are headed to the same destination is huge. But it should be people that can make hard decisions. Less about, all right, you guys are all chasing the same goal, all doing the same thing. I always find that is it someone who can make a hard decision, someone that can sacrifice, someone that can go work an all-nighter, someone that has that same level of discipline and ability to kind of pursue suck to get things done. As yes, having very high energy and optimistic people that are chasing business themselves is great. Well, I don't always need my boys to be optimistic with me. Sometimes I need to go ahead and talk to them about, hey, I just worked 24 hours straight. And like, oh yeah, no, I get it. So having that ability to relate on grind, on suck, on chasing the desperation, I find is paramount. The optimism and confidence and fun trips and all that crap comes after you guys have actually made it. But seek people that can suffer with you.
That's it.
That's huge.
It's relatability. And that goes into hand in hand. Here's a little extra tool that I'm going to throw your way with that on relatability is we live in a very social media driven world. Follow people who, matter of fact, get on your phone right now and go delete anybody that makes you feel poorly about yourself. Get out there and find people that are relatable, people that speak your language, like Ryan was just saying. People that are going to make you feel better about yourself and the decisions that you make. Not people who shoot you down for trying to be better, or people who just implode their greatness and make you feel even worse about yourself. So if you're listening to this right now, I need you to understand something. The self-doubt beast thrives in silence. It grows stronger every time you hesitate, every time you let fear make a choice for you. But guess what? You don't have to do it alone anymore. I mean, you have the people that are around you that can help guide you through this, or you can just continue to listen to the beast within, and we will help guide you through these processes together. So you have two choices. You can let the self-doubt keep running your life, or you can step up, take control, and quiet that voice down to become a better and more put together you. Ryan, I'm going to leave you with anything else that you'd like to throw down on this podcast. We thank you so much for being here and talking about this self-doubt. I know it's a vulnerability, but for you to be able to bring it to light helps other people bring it to light as well. Anything that you'd like to close out with?
Well then.
There it was. I was waiting for it.
Yeah. As you guys can see under my moniker there, The Boring Fitness Coach, we do online coaching with people internationally, men, women, all shapes and sizes. Find us on all social media. Just search Ryan Tullis. That'll go ahead and get you all taken care of, or go down to the show notes of this episode. I'm positive there will be a link for me somewhere. But other than that, no, this is great. All of Aaron's advice was fantastic. Co-signed.
Hey, thank you so much, man. We really appreciate you, honestly. And thank you guys for channeling into the beast within. Today's topic was the self-doubt beast and how to overcome it. Please hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, give us a follow, and listen in for the next podcast. Our next one will be the lone wolf beast and trying to do everything solo and what the cost is of that. So then, thank you again for following. My name is Aaron Saltzman, and we'll see you next time.